Hi.
Nice outfit, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
So I'm curious, how's fight week been for you in camp leading up to this? Because obviously, New York City is kind of a beast unto itself. It's not really any cities like this in the world. So how's fight week been treating you so far?
Good. I just got here yesterday, so a lot of media. Took me like 6 hours just to get like to my room. Just doing so much stuff, but that's what it's about. It's like being here and if we're not in the media and answering questions and letting people see who we are, get to know us a little bit behind, the fight and the fighter and our lifestyle and kind of who we are, then it doesn't matter just to go fight and no one really knows anything about you. So it's only hard just to see like, New York cheesecake and pizza and all the food and stuff like that. We were just talking about that. I'm like, man, I wish I could eat, but definitely thinking about that. And yeah, it's good.
Has fighting here in New York in Madison Square Garden, was that a goal for you at all coming up?
Yeah, definitely. Like, even before I was here to see Cheeto when he fought Frankie Edgar to support him. I saw Rose, Zhang Weili. But even before then, like, man, this is like the most famous arena in the world, So that was always a goal of mine to fight here. And after my last fight, I asked for a former champion. So it's kind of like they kind of gave me everything. So now I have no excuses. I need to do good.
When you asked for a former champion and they came to you with Jessica, were you surprised that that was the name, considering like you're on this roll and she's on 3-fight losing streak and she's fought a lot in a relatively short amount of time? So were you surprised that she was the name they presented to you?
No, I mean, I know she's down to fight, and since I saw her accepting a lot of fights, they had offered her to me like last year, but it was a short notice, and I had said no. So when they offered her, like, it was something I expected. Like, yeah, she's accepted. I'm seeing her during the year accept these fights. I had asked for Rose, but then Rose had gone up a weight, So I still think I think it's even a better matchup for me, Jessica. And I know that, I mean, she had a full fight camp for this. I know she's coming off 3 losses. Everyone's like, oh, do you think she's going to be kind of like dismotivated? I think if she's anything like me, she's going to be super motivated, Like, no one wants to lose 4 times. A loss just pushes you to like try and get better, especially when you have a full fight camp, I'm just hoping like 5 fights in a year takes a toll on her a little bit, But everyone knows she has knockout power. This is like a big test. She lost to like Tatiana Suarez, who's undefeated. Yan, who I know exactly those punches of Yan. She punches hard. I took a couple of them in my fight, So she's not easy. And then Erin, who, has good grappling, good striking, So future like prospect kind of thing. So she didn't lose to anyone, that's not up there, you know what I mean? So it definitely doesn't take anything away. I know she's gonna come totally motivated for this fight, but yeah, I mean, I was hoping for like Rose or something, but Jessica's still a battle, and I think it's a good matchup for me.
Well, speaking of that, like the 3 losses that you brought up, like you said, they are to, future title challengers and undefeated fighters. So do you think like us as media and fans are looking too much into those 3 losses in a row, considering who she did lose to?
For sure, especially like short notice fights, you know what I mean? Kind of, yeah, definitely. I think, and just with the way that things have been going, I don't think, I could only see is like just it taking a toll on her body, physically and maybe mentally draining, but, and I mean, I think she fought like a Erin, who's jiu-jitsu but has striking, Yan, who's a striker, and then Tatiana, who's like wrestling and southpaw, like she fought 3 totally different types of fighters, and she's been in the UFC like 10 years, you know what I mean? Even we're basically the same age. I feel like she's like way older with how much experience she's had, So if you've had like 5 fights and her first win with Lauren this year, Lauren Murphy in Brazil that I watched too, I was there. She did great, So it's like she's still there. She's still like got this, you know what I mean? And I think that she's gonna come with, I don't know, strategy. Everyone knows that she goes into the fight, but I think going through the 3 fights, she was submitted twice and knocked out once. I think she's gonna come with a little bit more different fight plan, Probably still going for war, always walking forward, but I definitely think that she wants to like take my head off. She wants to like kill me in this fight. And I think she's going to be like really intent on me taking her to the ground.
Well, you mentioned 2 of her last 3 losses have been by submission. I would imagine that you like this matchup even more, considering your skill set.
Yeah, for sure. Especially since like, Tatiana isn't really like a jiu-jitsu girl. I mean, she got her black belt, I think, on that fight actually on after, but I mean, that's not her base, you know. And then Erin, who she did good striking with her. You know, Erin was striking good with her, and when she did take her to the ground, you know, I didn't see her jiu-jitsu like too effective, you know, of Jessica. So definitely that gives me like more confidence. I mean, all my fights, everyone knows that it's the easier route for me is to the ground. The hard part is to get it to the ground. But like I said, I'm usually the fighter that's chasing. And like Angela, my last fight, she kept coming forward, and Jessica keeps coming forward. So I think that's really going to give me like opportunity to showcase some different things and just me evolving as a MMA fighter in a whole.
Final one for me. Obviously, Henry Cejudo said a lot about you from his time with you. He says you're like a win or two away from possibly fighting for the title. So what was it like training with him down at Fight Ready?
It was great. I mean, he's like my size, so he was like my training partner. He helped me like literally hands-on kind of thing. And then, I mean, yeah, he's someone who was Olympic champion in his own sport, was able to transition that to MMA, which is totally different, you know. And one thing that I felt like I was missing a lot was like this range, you know, your range as a fighter. You know, as a grappler, we have no range. We're just in your like personal space all the time, you know. So, you know, I would like hit someone, land a shot, I'd feel that they'd feel it, and then I like kind of run into them, and I wouldn't keep a distance, you know. And I didn't realize that I have my own distance and my opponent has their own distance. So like Jessica, for example, I don't want to be in her distance, you know. I can strike with her and not be getting hit by her, you know what I mean? Because I'm longer and I'm not, you know what I mean? And just now I'm understanding that. And that's something that Henry is like, it's a dance, you know? So they take one step forward, you take one step back, you know? And when you're ready to go, then you go to your distance, you know? But he really talked a lot about that. It seems simple, you know, but once you understand, you're like, you know, your mind just, you know, your range and how you want to decide the dance, you know. And he was like very talking about that and worked with me, you know, to be on my distance, you know. And when I decide to go, you know, instead of me being like, okay, I'm going to go to wrestling, and, you know, and everyone sees it and everything. And it's just like, it shows it way more now. So it helped me a lot, you know, even though he wasn't giving me like 10,000 wrestling takedowns, you know. You know, I'm not chasing with my head down and all these things, you know. I'm probably still going to do like judo takedowns in the end.
Mackenzie back here.
Hi.
Welcome to New York. In your last 5 fights, you have 3 performance bonuses. I think 2 for fight of the night, 1 for performance of the night. Is it an extra layer of pressure being in New York, knowing that you have the consumer trust that you aren't capable of putting on a boring fight, but you also want to get the win too? Is it an actual like extra layer of pressure?
Not pressure, just motivation. You know, like that's something that I look forward to. You know, I try to be like an athlete that has like the most submissions, the most bonuses, you know. Preferably like fight of the nights, I would like to be on the winning side of them, you know, not on the losing side. Usually that means like, you know, I probably got beat up a lot, and I was able to like hang in there. But yeah, it just gives me more motivation to try and get a bonus of the night here at Madison Square Garden.
Cool. And your last victory was in May against Angela Hill. What weapons would you say that you add to your arsenal? Like, if you can critique your performance, what weapons did you say that you sharpened up or you add to your arsenal to prepare for this fight?
With Angela, I mean, I think just like knowing that when you do hurt someone, you know, like you can calm, and I could have finished the fight maybe a little bit sooner, you know, just being able to see when my opponent's like in danger kind of thing. I think with Jessica, we're going to be moving back a little bit more than with Angela. So, you know, that was something that and Jessica hits hard, you know, like Angela, she hits hard, but it wasn't like very tough. It was more kind of like combinations, you know. And Jessica, it's like, so I really wanted during this camp to have like my sparring partners like hit me hard, like try, you know, just so when I get in there and I do feel it, you know, because I mean it's a fight, you know, we're gonna get hit, you know, and I don't want, you know, that impact to be like knock my thoughts out and be like, oh shoot, what am I doing again, you know. So we worked really just kind of like being used to getting hit hard, movement that we're expecting like Angela or Jessica to move forward a lot. And then we're like just keep working on the takedowns. Everything else we kind of liked, kept going on, kept working on it, but worked a lot my takedowns. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks.
You just over here.
Oh, sorry.
Here. In the run-up to your last fight, you had a lot going on in your personal life. Is it safe to say that this time around camp has been a bit less stressful for you?
I know. I realize like we always have problems, like just the pressure. I mean, the last one I went through the divorce, it's still, the divorce was final, but you don't realize how much aftermath there is to it, like literally this whole fight is still paying my ex, you know what I mean? And you're like, man, it's crazy. You have to get punched in the face and you work so hard and you do all this and you have to like, pay that much for something, and it's, I mean, money is something that, okay, I'll fight here, I'll get it, whatever, winning or losing, everything's gonna be taken care of, I'll make more and stuff like that. But it's just problems, and team. I'm Ruka close, so I basically made my own home gym, and you just keep like investing in your dreams and hope that it works, and I'm trying to make everything private at home because you're very vulnerable when everyone's seeing your training. And I mean, I'm like a world champion in jiu-jitsu, but people will see me in the gym, and I'm like crying and frustrated because I feel like I should be better at something. I feel like I should be able to get it, and I don't get it. You know what I mean? Like it's not working, and there's injuries and there's tons of stuff that keeps going on, and you're like, man, I just want to be able to train and get better. But I don't know. It's like in the fight, it comes out. You know what I mean? It all works out, and that's kind of in the end. Thankfully, my last sparring for this fight was my best sparring, and it was just one time. I only had 15 minutes of a great sparring. I felt what I needed to do, and I was like, man, God, let me have a couple more days of feeling that, But it was enough, and I think, like, man, no one believes me, like, how crazy it is that's going on. Like, I got a new puppy. I think I even invent more problems to put more chaos, I think I thrive on that, like the craziness, it's like puppy and all these things. But, getting used to being like set, splitting your daughter half of the time with you, half of the time with the dad and all these things. So you're learning so many new dynamics in your routine. And I mean, my whole life when I was to be a world champion in jiu-jitsu, my best times of being a world champion was when I had a routine and I had a schedule, and you're able to keep focused. That's why it's hard to be a mom and try to be a world champion or to be the champion of the UFC or all these things, because you need to be consistent in your training. And when you feel like that you're not consistent in your day-to-day life, one day is this, one day is that, and you're like, man, I just need to train, like that's it, and you just make it work, So it definitely wasn't easy. But I understand that that's what everyone goes through. Everyone's having problems. Everyone has injuries. We're fighters. I think Jessica she talked about she had a divorce too. So it's kind of crazy that the fans get to watch us like let out all of our stress and everything on another person in a fight. But that's what we train for, and that's what makes the victory more special.
Do you think that chaos gives you the fire? It kind of lights the fire under you? Does it help?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, when you lay down in bed, you're like, man, please, I just want like one day more relaxed, like kind of everything flowing, training wise. But then every day it happens again, and you realize, okay, I'm here, everything's good. My daughter's safe, healthy, I'm good, the house is okay, and you just keep going. You can't stop.
And fighting a former champ was top on your list. Obviously, you wanted Rose, and then you've got Jessica. How far away do you think you are from getting a shot at the title?
I think it definitely depends on like how I win this fight. If I win a great finish, knockout or submission or something like that, I think, I don't know, maybe I could cut the line. I know there's Tatiana Suarez, I know Young Xiaonan, but maybe I could cut the line if I have a great win. But I think if it's a close fight, and then probably another, maybe one or two more fights to get to the belt. And then if I lose, then it's a restart again.
And, you said she's still a dangerous opponent regardless of the losses. How do you see this fight playing out in your mind?
I see a finish for me. She's a tough opponent. She's someone that, you can't make a mistake. That's why I think I was so hard on myself during this camp, because I felt very emotional during the camp, just wanting everything to be perfect and feeling frustrated, and then kind of going back to bad habits, trying to go in and close the distance and, doing things that I did like maybe 4 fights ago kind of thing. And I'd be like very emotional because in my mind I'm thinking, I just can't be emotional in this fight. You know, I need to be strategic. I need to be smart. I need to make sure I don't get into the dogfight with her. You know what I mean? Like, I'm down for the war, you know, the battle, you know, exchanging, striking, everything like that. But I don't want to be in that dogfight that I know that if one, all she needs is one, you know, all she needs is one on the chin, and then the fight's over, and then I don't even have any chance to make it work, you know what I mean, and pull out a victory somehow, you know. Even like when I throw a kick to the head and I fall on my back, and then the girl comes in and then I submit. I mean, it just happens, you know what I mean? So it's something that I don't want this fight to happen. I don't want to just, you know, I don't want it to be an accident. I want people to see that I know what I'm doing, and I can, even though I have a lot of emotion when I fight and stuff like that, I have the control, you know, the self-control. And I think like the champions, that's all they have. They have that self-control, you know, and I don't think I can be like a boring fighter, you know. I don't think it's in me. So just try to stick to the controlled. And when I got to that in jiu-jitsu, that's when I became champion. So I feel like I'm getting to that now.
Mackenzie, over here. You can go. You can go.
You mentioned a few questions ago that you were training to get hit hard. How do you do that, and especially how do you do that while avoiding concussions?
Yeah, I mean, we have like the girls, they'll do like big boxing gloves, you know, and like just swinging at me, you know. Like, of course, we're still sparring, so I'm punching back, you know, and I'm moving and I'm trying to get out. But I mean, and even when we'll have them put like the puffies on, and just have them like go in. Usually, like they'll rest, so I'll have like fresh girls, and I'm doing like one after the other. And obviously, like, you're getting tired, so I'm getting slower. So as the rounds go on, I'm starting to get hit more, or I need to like move my head, or I need to get in, or I need to get out so I can avoid those. But basically just telling them to not go easy, you know, not be like, oh, she has a fight coming, you know, be careful so she doesn't get like, you know, a cut like Charlie's de Bronx like 1 week before, you know. The week before we're like, pa, 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 like killing each other.
So just hard sparring, but with larger gloves and protection?
Yeah.
Mackenzie, over here. You made a comment earlier about how you wanted to fight a former champion next, you know, and you said you excited to fight here in MSG. How's it feel? You're a pretty large betting favorite over a former champion here. How do you feel about that? And is it an honor? How do you feel about that? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I think one thing is like with Jessica, she's been in it for so long, and she's fought so many different people. But, I mean, she's won the belt, you know what I mean? And sometimes, like, it's hard to keep that motivation, you know, and that hunger once you've already accomplished it, you know what I mean? And, I mean, I see that her game is similar, like, most of the years, you know what I mean? She hasn't, like, added too much to her game, you know what I mean? So, I'm, you know, I'm honored, I'm blessed, you know, I'm happy that, like, they see me as someone who's coming and kind of I'm on a good momentum, even though, like, I don't know, my last 4 fights, I think I'm 2-2, you know? So it's like, oh man, they still see that I have the potential to keep getting better and working my mistakes and getting there. But yeah, I mean, to be here in MSG and be like a favorite, you know, against a former champion, I'm surprised, you know?